States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, which art in heaven, dear Lord God, we thank you for your many blessings you continually bestowing upon the city of Dillon. We ask that you continue to bless our mayor and our city council member, our city manager, the city attorney, and all the department heads on tonight as we are gathered together to make decisions for the betterment of all the citizens of Dillon. And in everything we do, we pray be kept to give your name the glory, the honor, and the praise. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
See, I have a motion to approve the agenda. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have a motion to approve the minutes for the May 9th regular scheduled meeting.
I'll make a motion. Second.
John, all in favor?
Aye.
Two things to talk about. Let me start with the clock. The clock is about to be repaired, I guess, whenever they get here. The contract's been signed, deposit's been made. We're going to have all four faces with a timepiece. So the temperature gauge is going to be removed. They said they never had much luck with those working anyway. Total cost, that's just under $8,000. Repair the clock. Yep, I didn't like it either.
How much did the clock cost?
$32,000.
Wow.
I had a hard time with that. Let them know when they need it.
How old is it?
Probably about 15 years old.
Yeah, I think it was 01 or 02 is when that was installed.
$40,000 for 16 years of time.
Well, I think it's more like 2 years on temperature, if that long. This company. It's been a journey.
With that, let me also, so you'll know, the way the clock was designed originally, the motors are run off gears, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And they do not do those anymore. They have found that the gear system is not the correct way to do it. So it's actually a motor ran clock. So if something happens to the motor, the only thing down to replace is the motor. And I think they told me the motor warranty is 10 years.
How much is the motor? Just curious.
Probably $3,500.
To run arms on a clock. Sounds like they're the same people that do my tech stuff at all.
So Glenn, are they going to replace the other two clocks?
Everything
Be new.
will be new. The inside of the clock, everything will be new.
Talked to Glenn about on the sides with the temperature gauge running north-south. Put the city logo and light it up, but that didn't say much. Put the time on all four pieces of the clock. Be up and running soon. I'll bring this up. I just got it. I called Benny and Glenn the other day. Before I do that, we met with the hotel group back about 3 weeks ago. It's called the Range Group. They handle the hotels in Florence, primarily Mount Pleasant. They're building a new one in other areas. But not only the one that manages the Range Group came, but an investor came too. So he had not an investor group, but one that led that group, from what my understanding was. And let me tell you, they really highlighted the wellness center in Dillon. They're very excited about the opportunities here, what Dillon has, what they saw. In fact, when they left, I happened to be behind them. The meeting went for about an hour and 15 minutes. They went right across number 9, Taco Bell, turned into that lot that's sitting there now with a cornfield there. But they're going to get back. They want us to go to Florence, talk to their city manager and so forth. I told them I'd be glad to with Glenn and whoever else. But at the same time, Florence is a different different demographic than Dillon. Florence, you really put a ton of money in their uptown. And I don't know what I'm gonna get out of going to Florence to talk to them about the motel, but if they want to go, asking us to go, we'll go. But what struck me with them, they aren't talking about a lower echelon motel. They're talking about a more mid to upper tier. When you chime in on this, anything you can add. They said the gold standard for travelers today is the Marriott. And they listed a couple just below the Marriott. And they are talking about a 100-room hotel, which kind of blew me away. Not 50, 60 room, but they're looking at a possibility of a 100 hotel. So it is on the table. We got to get our plan together. And I didn't hear a whole lot back with giving up a ton of incentives. I know that we want something, but what they were talking about really didn't surprise me that much, or put a damper on it. They want us to go back, and they want it to be a partnership. They want the city to pretty much, this is if they do this, they want us to take ownership of the hotel. So we'll be glad to do that. So that's in the preliminary stage. We've got to get back with them about
Help me
what.
with that.
Huh?
Help me with that. You're just
Well,
talking about supporting.
Just supporting it. They want
Not us managing.
No, they want us to sign too. They want us to take pride in the hotel.
Yeah.
Not one of these, we're gonna put a hotel in now, and in 2 years, we're gonna put it up for sale.
Right.
They want a plant here.
Yeah.
And they want the city to, like we've done everything else we've done, with the wellness center and everything else we have here to support it. And that goes without saying, I think. But they were real high on that. I mean, they didn't just say that lightly.
And one of the things that they did bring up was hospital at McLeod's, and some of our local industries utilize their hotels, and they said if they utilize us there, why wouldn't they utilize us over here?
Yeah.
So that was something that they were impressed with there, or
I'm
thought
just
about.
trying to figure out whether Highway 9 is their best place where real estate's probably a little bit more pricey, or is it better to go to Boulevard?
9.
And call that, it has the amenities, and one can step out from the hotel and walk to
Right,
the restaurant.
walk to the restaurant.
So we'll just see where that goes.
What are the other local hotels? Are they involved too, Todd, or we pretty much, are we including them, or?
I talked to a couple of them, Johnny, to get some feedback. I think the motels are kind of like the restaurants in a way. You're all clumped together. I don't think bringing a hotel, I may be wrong, it's not my business. Generally, when you bring another restaurant into town, then all the restaurants, the tide rises to some extent. I don't necessarily know if it's going to hurt the other hotels. They have looked at their feasibility studies. We have a feasibility study that we gave them, and that's one of the requirements. And, the feasibility studies they got kind of jives with the feasibility study we got. That it's it's not the hottest place to land one. They see more potential here than the feasibility study. But I think the possibility of the inland port puts a different component on that. So you're looking down the road too. It only help enhance the possibility. Leave it at that. Anything else? It may happen down the road, may not happen, but it's just something I think the city would be proud of taking a step forward to see that would be.
Well, I'll be glad to go to Florence.
Okay.
How soon are y'all planning on going?
I haven't gotten back to them. That was, like I say, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I would imagine, I don't know, whenever.
The only thing I asked was us, if we haven't done it yet, to send a letter to them. Just to keep in contact.
And I think there was discussion about incentives and how the city of Florence came up with some creative ways. Now, mind you, we're not Florence. And they basically, I think we're talking really about the hotel downtown. Don't they own that one, am I correct, Tom?
Well, they own that, they own a few of them.
But they were talking mostly about that, but I mean, there's more. You got your Performance Arts Center, Francis Marion, you've got the hospital and other things there. So, I mean, the city of Florence probably could do a whole lot more creative and intangibles and things of that nature. You know, in fact, I think I gave you a printout of something off the Municipal Association website. You can go on there with some incentives for businesses of that type that some local governments have used. One being, for maybe the first 2 or 3 years, you waive the local accommodation tax money. Possibly, if there's any kind of sewer and water construction, you do some partnerships, that kind of stuff. Not where it's going to cost the city money. Outlay of money. You may just back up the process or delay the process when they pay a fee, whether it's a business license or the local accommodation tax, things of that nature. They're just looking for an olive leaf, I think.
I think you were talking, I think Columbia back a decade ago got the motel business and it's a total failure.
City of Myrtle Beach, same thing. I mean, they have their hands full with the one that they own.
Well, when they did pull up and went and looked at the site, I called Glenn the other day and did a call Benny. I don't know about y'all, but in our commercial district, our most heavy commercial district, we got that plot of property across from Popeyes, beside Taco Bell. I don't know, it just kind of bugs me a little bit that we got an agricultural site there in the middle of our commercial district. I'm confused whether it's zoned for that.
No, sir.
We don't think it is.
I think we ought to enforce that, because to me that just doesn't look good. I mean, it doesn't.
Isn't that where if they buy, they have to pay 2 years of taxes as if it was commercial property?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's the way.
That's a good thing, so I thought about that too, but I'd like to get some explanation on that.
But
If they buy commercial, if that's rezoned commercial, if it is agriculture, if it's rezoned commercial, we get 2 years back taxes as if it were worth the $250,000 they're asking for, or $500,000 they're asking for. Isn't that correct?
I don't know the time period, but it's called rollback tax.
Rollback taxes, yeah. But I think it's 2 years.
And that would be
Got you on
what,
that one.
that would be what the county,
I think that's right.
and then you may be something to that effect, that would be what the county would have on their tax map, whether it's agricultural.
We get a
or
pinch
not.
of that. That's inside the city limits.
But we also have, we were just talking about, we also have, not on number 9, but on Commerce Drive, we have areas out there that are being used for agricultural purposes, which is zoned for commercial. However, we do allow in residential areas.
And probably, how about Martin Luther King going on?
Some of that's not in the city. As
Part of
you-
the old Pepsi plant.
That's not in the city. But there's one back up this way on Martin Luther King, right before you get to 5th Avenue where it splits off. That is in the city, if I'm not mistaken. But that's allowed there because that's residential. But what we're going to do is write a letter to those property owners and tell them, once this harvest is over with, it's over with.
Let them finish it out.
My question is though, is the landowner contracting somebody out to let them do the agriculture on the land? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they'll pay a fee for that. Yeah, absolutely.
I guess you pay a whole lot less on an agricultural
Yes.
than you do.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at 2% versus 4%, or 2% versus 6%.
But you pay it on the work,
Yes, correct.
you know, $2,000 an acre versus $250,000 of a half acre,
We do this at the outskirts of the commercial district, now that's fine, but I can't recall ever going to another location, another town or city, and seeing that city right in the middle of our prime area. It just doesn't look good to me. I don't read these things very often. This is the thing called that uptown. I did board the other night, so I picked it up. I'm glad I did. There are three, and I think it's something we ought to look at here. There are three municipalities, Hartsville, who always seem to be on the cutting edge of stuff, Anderson and Greenwood. And we do to our credit, with Maggie, the grant program, the facade grant, which is benefits existing business. Well, two of these had incentives for downtown or development within their city, primarily downtown, Hartsville and Anderson. I think it's Anderson. But anyway. What they're doing is they're slotting money, in their case, about $12,000. And they're launching something called at Hartsville, it's called Startup Hartsville. It works much like the Shark Tank TV show, where a person that wants to do a new startup business will come before a committee of economic developers, city officials, or what have you, and present a business plan. And if it's accepted by the committee, and whoever wins, they'll get that money to use for starting up that business, whether it is rent, actually fix up a building, or what have you. But it's been extremely successful in Hartsville. They just did two. One is a furniture boutique with a wine and bourbon bar. And the other was a boutique featuring handmade accessories and so forth. And Anderson did something very similar to that. And the reimbursements can be spent on lease or rent payments, upfit, design, and signage. Our downtown is kind of, let's put it nicely, has been stale, to say the least. And I can't say that we would just look at this downtown. It could be on that commercial district on anywhere in the city. But I think the city, we ought to do that.
Good idea.
I mean, to start generating activity for small business in our town.
Maggie is going to, is that part what you're going to in July in Hartsville? Maggie's going to a 2-day workshop in Hartsville in July.
Oh, good.
You can't go much for $12,000, though.
No, but it gets them the maybe to take the first step.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that, we haven't had any growth down there for so long. Maybe we take some of our 2% money, put it $25,000. You got to sign a lease for a year and see, maybe that's too much money. I don't know, but.
Well, Maggie, I'm glad you're going. That's in July.
Yes, last part of July.
I'll give you got that. Just carry it with you. Hartsville has a Main Street executive director. Her name is Susie Moore. I met her before at a basketball game at a Christian school. Somebody came and introduced me to her.
They're part of the Municipal Association's Main Street program.
Main Street program. We had looked at that, but it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And I told Glenn that. We can utilize some of their programs, but in order to be a part of that, it's like $50,000 guaranteed for 3 years. You have to hire somebody, and you have to have a building downtown for their office. That's just for starters. And there are only 15 cities in the whole state that are able to do this.
Well, you could do this without that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, our plan is to go stick with this.
It's just an idea. I went on a flight to Philly the other week, and I happened to be sitting between two pilots. And one of them lived in Charlotte. He didn't know a city outside of Charlotte, but Chester. And he asked me where I was from. I told him Dillon. And when I told him where we were, when I said south of the border, he got a good idea. And all he talked about when he retired is he wanted to open a coffee shop. He got real interested in Dillon, and I told him we didn't have any of that. We just kept on and on and stuff like that. Could matter. I think. Couldn't hurt. Can't hurt.
Always an ambassador.
Couldn't hurt. Yeah. Well, there was nothing else to talk about.
They're pretty dry.
You know, another thing in here, you know, this was 2 for 2 on the, that was interesting, was some municipalities are stepping up these things called exchange zones, exchange zones, or that offers level of protection. I guess when you go do a commerce transaction with Facebook, Craigslist, or what have you, it'd be great to have a place where somebody could go meet and do that, where there is a camera or something, and maybe create a zone in the city instead of going and meeting out here in the parking lot or something.
We've talked about that, do it here, where we just got to install the cameras. A lot of people use Walgreens, things of that nature, where there's, you know, a lot of traffic going on. Yeah, we had talked about doing it here also.
And of course, that's it. You don't guarantee safety. You don't get any liability or anything. The only other thing I know, I called Glenn, I didn't see anything on the budget. Of course, he told me why. It's, you know, the wellness center is a little concerned. His expenses are running about $389,000, which is already 3% over our budget. We've got a month to go. I think we're going to have to look at maybe down the road on the membership, maybe kind of tacking it up just a little bit, just to try to offset some of the costs. You know, we're now transferring over. It looks like we're now right have to do close to $120,000 now. Everything's set up.
I'll tell you, it looks a ton better, you know.
And they, forever, you know, the Secret Funds Committee, I guess, paved the road on Commerce.
Yeah. Well, I actually know the state did that. State did. I don't know how long that road's been there, but that was, I think what they told me, hadn't been resurfaced since that road was built. And I've been here 25 years and that road has been there. So. And with all the traffic, that road takes a lot of traffic.
A lot of
Truck traffic. There's a lot of truck traffic.
But you can look at it. Everything, you know, it's kind of hitting the budget somewhat. It's just the expenses keep going up. On the membership, on the wellness center, excuse me. I think if you look at a single person, what's their fee rate out there? $35. If you look at 5%, that's $1.50. You know,
It's been that also since
From day
we
one.
opened it.
Yeah, that's what I'm increasing. 5% of that would generate about $12,000. Not too much to hit people too long. And the last thing I had, some of these things, I'm just slow through the party, but some of these things on the ledgers, I just have a hard time reading. One is the water sewer. Just got, you know, the example would be tap fees, where we budget $5,500, and at current date we spent $65,000. And it's just hard.
No. Where you see that at?
That's revenue.
That's revenue.
All right, well, okay, revenue, but still, okay, I got, still, how do we miss?
Because you don't know when people build. That's people building. That's probably the vast majority is this apartment complex.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a clue when it comes to that revenue, how many tap fees are going to be purchased during the year. That's getting new water and sewer services. And we'll just take the apartment complex. Do you remember exactly how much that was? $32,000 just for the apartment complex.
Where's that at? Out this way?
That's gonna be on West Main Street Extension, right across from the football stadium.
They ain't broke ground on that yet.
I don't think.
They have on,
They have on the houses.
yeah, the house.
Which you go right there, that's 4 houses, that is $1,100 each, so, you know, that's $4,400 just for those 4 houses.
And, you know, I forgot, I even brought it up the other month, but when you look at them, and then if I'm back to the check fees, I know you gave me an explanation last time, but when you look at the ledger and you see budgeted for 12,000 for that, and you got 96, are we getting that much over in revenue on this miscellaneous
Well,
check?
it's lightning damage. You
Yeah,
don't
that's
ever
that's
know.
insurance also.
Yeah.
Insurance, okay.
That, and if we get any money back. from
No,
surplus.
return check fees, I don't know what that amount total is, but it's not $96,000.
No, it's return check fees and miscellaneous. Put it in.
Okay, well, the miscellaneous is just claims on insurance?
Yeah.
That comes in?
Or money that
Surplus.
that we didn't budget for a particular revenue line.
Doc, can I ask the question? I got to get an understanding on this right here. I just can't understand it for some reason. Going back to the excess funds, the $193,000.
What are you looking at?
On the hospitality. Is that money there, Ms. Janet, is that going to come off the balance of what we got now in the hospitality?
Under expenses.
Would that eventually come
No.
off?
No,
That will never touch the hospitality balance?
No, see what that is if we have to pay out, that will transfer to general fund. No, that's the difference in that.
What is
Our
it again?
expense, just in case we needed that money, excess funds and supplies for that. If we needed that.
At the end of the year, if the general fund had spent $100,000 that this would cover, it would come out of that particular line item.
All right, the question I got with the wellness center, the $99,000, you gonna take that off in July, correct?
That's already come
That's
off.
already done.
That
That's
was for
already
the
came off the
2015 audit for the wellness center and general fund. See that 193?
Yeah,
That's where we would have taken it, but we wanted to show a transfer to general fund from that. So if you take that number up there off to 193, the 99,000, that would have come off of that.
okay. So next year, we're looking at a higher deficit with the wellness center. When will you take that money off the current fund balance we got for the hospitality fund right now? Will you wait till the end of,
After the audit.
after the audit? That's when you're gonna do it, after the audit?
So it'll be anytime after the audit, between then and the end of our budget year.
That is-
Yeah.
I think we do.
You
You wanna go ahead with that?
yeah, please. Let the train go by here.
Anything you want to add?
No, that's all I had.
Yeah. Well, let me go ahead. This is it's a tough thing to do here. We got 2 retirements, but I'm going to start with the chief back there. Chief, I'm doing it early in case you want to stay for the meeting, or if you want to go somewhere, it's your prerogative to do what you want. You might want to stay, I don't know. The chief came to my office the other week, and like he has a number of times, and every time he comes, you just get more impressed with him. He's about as professional a person as you'll ever meet. Let me tell you, the chief began with the city police department in April of 1973 as a patrol officer. Began chief in 1993. Served 23 years as chief of the Dillon City Police Department, with a total of 43 years of service in law enforcement on June 29, 2016. At the end of this month, he's decided he's going to hang it up. And it kind of a bittersweet. I'm happy for you, Chief. I can't think of a better man that led Dillon in this time than what you have.
Thank
You were great in law enforcement. Every time I talked to you, any decisions you came up and thought you had to discuss with me, your reasoning was always spot on. And that's what I was more impressed with you than anything else. Just good common sense, and I think that's worked for not only for the City of Dillon Police Department, it's worked for the City of Dillon, your officers, and the citizens of the City of Dillon. It's been greatly served under your leadership. And if I can ask you to come forward, we got something to show you our appreciation for all your years of service. Half of the City of Dillon will present this to you and thank you for all the years you've given us and wish you the very best in your retirement.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you.
Well, I know for a fact, I could have never gotten a better job than with the City of Dillon. And like I told the guys the other night, anywhere you go to work and they offer you, and they pay your health insurance, that's a big ticket item. And I said, I don't know how much longer they can do it, but they've done it for 43 years. But that's a very big item. You know, a lot of people don't stop to think about that. But outside of that, meeting people and talking to people is one of the greatest enjoyments I have. And I sure appreciate everything y'all done for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John. Anything else I need at this time? Anybody else would like to say? I know, Phil, you've been up here, and Douglas, longer than anybody else up here.
I didn't realize it'd been 43
3 years.
Yeah. Who does that?
I think the only one I know that's close to that is Coke.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a tough day, but I'm happy for you. The other, who I saw, who also is just, she loved her job. She did her job very well, is Barbara McCracken at the service department. And Barbara began with the city and the service department as a secretary in October of 1981. Became sanitation supervisor in January of 01. Served 15 years as sanitation supervisor with a total of 34 years with the City of Dillon as of June 1st, 2016. So Barbara's not here tonight, but she has retired.
Yes, she retired on the 2nd.
I saw her a week and a half ago. They had a little drop-in for her at the maintenance department. Barbara's same thing, just pleasant old ladies you ever want to meet. We wish her the best for her future endeavors and everything she's done for the City of Dillon. We thank her for and her family. With that, Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
And just to follow up with that makes Janet now the longest serving employee with the City of Dillon for 36 years. I was in diapers when she started.
They hired me at a young age.
First thing, as I stated in my letter, to follow up with Chief Joe Rogers first. It's been a pleasant experience for me when I was named city manager. I sat and talked with Chief Rogers many days to fill out how things should be going, not just in the police department, but as a city hall, because I knew he had his ear to the ground and been here, and I was not a local guy. I had been here about 5 years, and still, he helped me a good bit, and Chief, I appreciate it very much for what you've done for me over the 20 plus years that I've served as city manager, but thank you. With that being said, at our last meeting, I told you in executive session, which I'll bring up in open session, that I was going to advertise for a new police chief, which that's been done. It was done in the local newspaper with the Dillon Herald, and then also on the municipal website, municipal association website. It ran for approximately 2 weeks on the website, and I think 2 times in the Dillon Herald on their Thursday's paper. And they closed on June the 3rd. I have received 11, which is surprising. I thought we'd receive more. 11 resumes for the chief of police position. I also told you my plans was to put together a committee of citizens within Dillon to help go through this process, which that has been done. I think in my letter I wrote to you on Friday, 6 or 7 have been confirmed. Friday afternoon, the 7th, confirmed. Our first meeting is Thursday of this week to go over the 11 resumes to see who qualifies based on their qualifications. There were 3 qualifications, if I'm not mistaken. 1, to be a certified police officer through the South Carolina Justice Academy. 2, valid South Carolina driver's license. And 3, the experience level, 15 years, at least 15 years in law enforcement, and of those 15, 5 had to be in senior management level. So we'll go through those on Thursday afternoon, the committee, and see who's qualified or who does not qualify. And then once that's done, we'll start scheduling interview and go through the interview process. The goal would be to have all the interviews done hopefully by mid-July. Whether that'll happen, I'm not sure. Just due to the facts everybody's schedule. I mean, we're talking there's 7 or 8 people in the committee, their schedule, along with the folks that we've got interviewed. But once we get that, I will keep you posted on how that's going, and we'll go from there.
Is your committee anonymous?
Or, no, I'll tell you who's on the committee, if you like. I got that list somewhere, I brought that with me. All right, the committee is, I gave you categories that I was kind of looking into. Faith-based organization. I talked with Pastor James Smith at the East Dillon Baptist Church. He at one time served in law enforcement, so I thought that would be a good one. Under the civic community group, this is a kind of wide open. I spoke with the general manager at Dillon Herald, Johnny Daniels, and he said he would like to serve. Then Ms. Carmen Bethay, who works with the school system in the truancy area of kids that just lay out of school and don't go to school. She's in charge of that. So she has some dealing with law enforcement on a daily basis for our support. So I've got her involved. And I have the solicitor's office, the assistant solicitor, Kennard Redmond. He's going to serve. We had talked about, or I had mentioned, Department of Juvenile Justice. However, their local person is out of town through the end of summer dealing with military. What's the word I'm looking for? Commitments. I think she may be in the National Guard. So they didn't have anybody locally that could do it. So I spoke with Antonio Vault, who is over the South Carolina Probation and Parole Office here in Dillon County. He's going to serve. Then I had spoken with Ms. Karen English, who is over the Department of Social Services in Dillon County. And then Drew Massengale, who is a younger citizen who works here at a local business at Farm Bureau. So that is the committee. But like I said, we're scheduled to meet Thursday afternoon to qualify all the candidates, and then we'll go from there.
I think Jack mentioned last time the committee is strictly advisory.
It's strictly advisory committee. Their role, initially, my thought process was to get 30 plus resumes. And I just didn't want to sit down and go through 30 resumes on my own. So I just thought it'd be best to get a committee together, get different eyes, get different opinions, and see what their thoughts were. However, we came back with just 11 resumes. We should speed up the process a little bit better than looking at 30 plus resumes that I anticipated.
So this committee gonna help you interview?
Yeah, they will do the interview process, then they will recommend 3. at the end. And then we'll probably add some more steps into that. But yes, they will do recommendations and interview. In fact, I want them to actually, I'll be in on the interviews, but I want them to do the interviews. And get feedback and that type of stuff. I want them to hopefully talk to where these folks are coming from. Maybe they know somebody in that community. I will tell you this, we've only had one Dillon County person to apply. The rest are outside of Dillon County. So that's where that will be. Budget. Last month we presented by title only the first reading of our 2017 budget. Janet and I have been sharpening the pencils here in the last 2 weeks. We think we're balanced as of 5:30 this afternoon. I'm just going to hit some highlights that we've talked about in the past. And what I'm really hitting on right now is water and sewer, because those are always the difficult ones, and general fund. On the general fund side, also last month, ordinance was presented for first reading to increase sanitation rates based on CPI, which was determined to be 3.4%. By doing that, that's going to increase our revenue in the general fund by $40,000. Now, the next items that I'm going to throw at you in the general fund budget summary are going to be expenses. We always try to figure out how we're going to serve or help our employees as far as salary increases on an annual basis. Here lately, in the past few years, we basically just had a set number. Whether it was $500 across the board or $700 across the board is what we've done. What we're proposing, or what I'm proposing right now, and we can change if need to be, I have both numbers to work with. On the general fund side, we've got 69 employees. General fund is everything from police to fire to sanitation to refuse collection, which is limb and leaves collection, street department, recreation. I think that's it. So that totals about 69 employees. Also, council is part of the general fund. The 69 full-time employees with a 3.4% increase, which is CPI, and along with what the increases that retirement are including along, and also along with taxes that we pay on behalf of the employees, we're looking at a $98,693 increase in salaries. If we go back and use $500 across the board, which would include retirement and those other direct costs, it would be $41,338 the cost. So we're looking at the two differences, $57,000 by going 3.4% versus $500. Now, to give you an idea of somebody's making roughly, well, we'll just say $10 an hour. If they're making $10 an hour and getting 3.4%, what's that, $340 versus getting $500. If somebody's making $12, you see it going up. So the more the person,
the lower end people
on the $500 deal, it does.
Well, we did that last year.
We did that last year and the previous year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think,
But
my opinion is that, we kind of put off the higher end people a little bit for 2 years. I think that maybe a 3% would be a better way to go this year, and maybe, go to a flat raise again next year.
Could we do the 3% with a minimum 500?
That wouldn't be bad. That way you would still take care of the lower end.
well, we could possibly.
That shouldn't affect it that much.
It shouldn't affect it that much, and we'll just have to look.
3% of 20,000 is $600. Right.
Based on .4, if they went back to 3, I think 500 minimum would get ate up with the .4. We only done a 3% versus a 3.4%.
I'm doing 3.4%.
I need
Okay.
3.4.
Okay.
I'm doing 3.4%, yeah. But we can look at it and see. But now,
I want to see those on the lower end get penalized
Yeah.
for that.
$10 an hour is what, 20 grand a year?
21.
So 3.4% of that is gonna be 600 and something bucks, so. If you take $680.
You can do something math in your head. Well, I look at $10 an hour, 2,080 hours.
2,080, okay,
Yeah.
so it's about 22.
That's $20,800
Yeah,
times
3.4.
3.4%. That's $707. So it may not be, that is
3.4 might be good.
I know this might be a losing cause here.
What's that?
This is what really bothers me, is that 1/3 of your city employees is your police department, Chief Roger.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what an entry-level police officer makes in the city of Dillon? Would you have an idea?
24,000.
Makes $10.45 an hour. Am I correct, Lee?
That's someone who is not certified yet.
God.
I thought we changed it last year, I don't have that with me.
You know, it's $24,000 is entry level.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark, I don't have it in front of me. But once they get out of the academy, I mean, it's not much more than that, it's like 26 or 27,000.
All right, I'm gonna take it up another level.
Yeah.
Most of our sergeants, on the average, have been a police officer for 10 years. They make $14.95 an hour. I think as this council, we can do better as far as trying to give our police officers more money. And I think, Glenn, you can go back to the drawing board, and I might be wrong, but I really think we can give them more money. You talk about a man that's been on police for 10 years.
Give me an idea.
I'm asking this council to really think about this.
Well,
Because they're protecting our community. And
Get that sheet. You got that now.
Yeah, we did a comparison with other communities around.
Give me,
us not long
go
ago.
get that sheet. To give me an idea of what the starting salary is for cadet through each rank. What their starting salary would be. And I have no issues with that.
I'm asking the
But I mean, I
council
don't have a magic number.
for we to come up with some kind of solution to where we can give them some more money. I mean, I'm not saying astronomical amount of money, but you're asking people, they're not knocking at the door.
Oh, no.
I mean, we're having a hard time buying a police officer. We've got to have an incentive. And I mean, I could be wrong,
No,
but I really think a police officer, and Chief Rogers, I want you to chime in. I mean, you've been here 43 years.
Not a lot of people want to do this kind of work anymore.
Period. For $100,000.
I mean, $10.45 an hour.
You gotta love the job.
I mean, you really got to love the job.
Yeah.
I mean, but we as a council, I believe we can do a little bit better than just the regular norm. Now, that's just my opinion. But, I mean, I just wanted to let the council know, $10.45 for entry level, and an average 10-year, and that's what we got. Our sergeants got an average of 10 years, and they're not even making $15 an hour. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but I know that we can do better. And I hope we can have a discussion about it and see what we can come up with.
Well, I always said y'all target areas. I mean, I asked for a pay scale. I don't know what we pay.
I don't know anything.
I really don't. I mean,
on what, police?
yeah, not police, just any. I mean, I know we got a $10 minimum, but, you know, what do we pay garbage man that's been here 5 years? Is he still at?
Well, whatever increases we've given over the years.
I mean, I don't have the
I mean, that would be basically everybody, whatever increases to some degree. But while she's going, you got,
Because if I'm not mistaken, the only really basic raise they give is every year when you come to the
yeah,
council.
that's correct.
Unless
In
they
the
get a
budget.
promotion.
That's correct.
There's no base merit, on how they do, perform to do their job, I guess.
That would
Unless
be-
they, put in for a promotion, they get that.
That would be any employee with the city, that is correct.
Okay.
Starting September 3rd, 2015, which would have been less than a year ago, a cadet is a person who is not certified. They make $25,000 a year, which is $11.45 an hour. Once they go to the academy and graduate, they go from $25,000 to $27,000, which is $12.37 an hour. And their hours are based on 42 hours a week, not 40 hours a week.
The cadet too?
Cadet too. After their year anniversary of graduating the academy, they go to $28,500, which is a $1,500 raise. So within 2 years, they get a $3,500 raise once they graduate and have their year anniversary, along with the start. And then if they're promoted after their 1 year anniversary to a Lance Corporal, they go from $28,500 to $29,429, so a little less than a $1,000 raise. And then if they start out as a corporal, they go from $29,429 to $30,426, roughly another $1,000 raise. And then once they become a sergeant, or she becomes a sergeant, starting salary for a sergeant is $32,643. If they're promoted to first sergeant, their salary goes from $32,643 to $34,860, which is a little over a $2,000 raise. And then if they go to lieutenant, they go from a $34,860 to $36,000. So almost another $2,000 increase. And then also, each July, if council increases, or if the budget increases the salaries, whether it's $500 or 3.4% in this case, the starting salary at cadet, or well, actually, starting salaries for all those positions would go up 50% of whatever the increase is that the city gave to all the other employees. So in other words, if we did a 3.4%, the cadet raise would go from $25,000 times whatever half 3.4% is. What is that? 1.65?
$350.
Yeah. And then if we gave $500 across the board, those would increase by $250 on all those line items.
Now, with that being said, last year's budget, you had in there for a first sergeant. We didn't even fill the position. So that's the money. You got it in this year's budget too, Glenn?
Well, I just got number of dollars. I don't have position.
This is my concern, is that position probably not going to be filled this year. So that's $30-something thousand that we lost, correct?
No.
How do you?
You wouldn't lose that money. All you're doing is, if you went to a first sergeant, you went from a sergeant to a sergeant. So that's a $2,000 increase. You're not adding a position.
Right, okay.
The positions are already there. The numbers of employees are already there. You're just moving up the ladder. So that would be $2,000 increase is what that would be.
I don't know, I just wanted to mention that to the council before we have this budget that's presented to us.
I'd love to see how we stack up.
Yeah, well, we did that 2 years ago.
Well, we did it, I think we did it last year. That's, because we've done this for the last 2 or 3 years.
And we get kind of right in the middle of it.
Is it possible you can kind of do
Yeah,
something?
we can look at it and see.
The strain, but I mean, just to compare some numbers again and see where we're at.
And I can tell you, we got one officer that came from the Florence Police Department, was in Dillon, and he's here because he prefers to work for the city of Dillon's Police Department.
Well, in Florence, we got 2 that came over the years. They don't get overtime.
Well, this is his hometown too.
Yeah, but they didn't get overtime.
Not at the time.
Yeah, he was living
The one we're thinking about, he was raised here and he went to work in Florence and he came back to Dillon.
But one of the things they didn't like was they didn't get overtime at all. So, but I can look at it and see, we'll try to compare, as close to apples as possible.
That's all I can do.
Where we can see it on it, but, I will say this, we are balanced based on the 3.4% increase. But it's a tough, we're pinching pennies to make that budget. So I don't, how much more of an increase it would do, I don't know, but we'll look and see what that is. And hopefully have that back to you at the end of the week, and I can email you with that information, and I need feedback from you.
Well, we didn't go up on property tax, right?
That is correct.
We don't ever go up on property
That
tax.
is correct.
And we can't go back and make up that property tax.
You can go back up to 3 years.
Well, once it's gone, those opportunities.
But you can go back.
And I'm not looking to go up on property tax, but, we haven't had a millage increase. We had one millage increase in the last 20 years, and then we took that back.
And took it back.
Next year will be reassessment.
Yeah, we've had reassessment.
Well, that's coming up again next year, I think.
Yeah.
How much money did you say it was gonna generate for us raising the sewer rates, and did you have a number?
I haven't got the water and sewer yet. But the sanitation rates would be 40,000.
45.
That would be the only revenue increase, pretty much on the general fund side, other than some monies that we get from the state. But saying that, we budgeted this year, Duke Energy, for example. Last year we got how much from them? 434,000. This year we got 415,000. So we were less than what we got last year. And that's some of our big stuff there is those franchise fees.
And Glenn, you said we have compared our police department with other cities?
Well, I didn't this year, no. We have done it in years past.
This year.
I want to think we've done it with Darlington, Marion, Mullins, Bennettsville is who we've looked at in the past to see what they were doing.
How do we measure up then?
Well,
We were right in the middle.
when we did this one last year, we moved up.
Now, last year we were in the middle.
Yeah, we were in the last year.
Now, what they may have done in the year since, I don't know yet, but we'll look and see what that is. And then some of our other expenses is health insurance. We were fortunate to some degree that it's only going to go up about $30 per employee per month, which is $360 per employee during the year, but that's another $25,000 for 69 employees. And with that, let me do say that our insurance carrier is going to change. Right now, we're with Starmark. Starting July 1st, we go back to Blue Cross Blue Shield.
TCC.
Is it Blue Cross Blue Shield?
I think it is.
TCC, who we had 2 years ago and previous year. So a year ago, that's right, a year ago. And the reason we went that route, they were cheaper than what our existing insurance carrier wanted to.
They count on, they do this to sift through.
And then we
All
also,
insurance companies are John's side. But you'll understand, y'all in the business too, how they treat y'all.
then I also put in the budget, if you want to take it out, we can. But I think we're down to 2 alleys left.
Yes, sir.
3-4 years ago, we decided we were going to try to resurface all the alleys. We're down to 2 alleys. We budgeted again another $25,000 to resurface, I think, our final 2 alleys in the coming year. And then we decided, or council decided last month, to go forward with purchasing a commercial garbage truck, because one that we have is on its last leg, which is another $225,000. And then a vehicle and code enforcement to replace the vehicle Benny has for $25,000. And then our second year of 3 to spend $65,000 on 10 air packs for the fire department. Now, code enforcement car, garbage truck, and the air packs totals $315,000. I am proposing in our budget, which is what this money is really used for, is use our depreciation money that we have in the general fund. And this has nothing to do with Purdue. This has nothing to do with water and sewer. This is general fund depreciation.
How much is that?
1.7 or 2 in general fund.
In what period of time you gonna pay it back?
And we'll go over that.
Okay.
How much is it?
Got $1,028,000.
And not water and sewer.
That's general.
General fund. Okay.
Depreciation.
So,
Maybe $1.1 million.
$1,028,000.
Where's that at? Where do you have that at? That would be, yeah,
40.
yeah, 1.0286069 is what we have there. I spoke with our Auditor Smith Brooks today on the payback, per se, is just as if we borrowed the money from the bank.
That's exactly right.
Go ahead and budget that starting next year in 18. Whatever magic number y'all want to budget each year. He would suggest no more than 7 years.
Well, depreciate, you can't do it anymore.
Well, on the general fund side, there's no depreciation of it in the budget.
It doesn't last. You don't want to
Well, that's correct.
amortize the depreciation over greater time than it's going
The
to
garbage truck lasted 12 years.
Yeah.
The car Benny's driving is about 15 years. Now, the air packs, how long do they last?
We've had some up 30 years.
So, I mean, how good?
50.
The ones we bought last year, how long will they last?
Probably 20 years.
Okay, so, you know,
I still think that.
but whatever number y'all decide
Well,
on
you
that.
know, typically you take construction stuff and amortize that over 30 years, 40 years, but stuff like that, you probably ought not to go past 7 years. I think that's.
So, what, 7 years? So what
If
will,
it's in the budget for this year, why don't we make the payment and start the payment this year?
no, it's not in the budget to make payments this year.
I understand that, but if you're gonna buy it this year, why aren't we?
Well, you're late on the budget.
Pardon?
I mean, we're kind of late on the budget now.
You gonna delay the payment for a year? Now, let's also understand, on the general fund, we do not budget like we do on the water and sewer side for depreciation. What we do is at the end of the year, whatever reserve fund balance we have, surplus,
Right.
that goes into that account, is what that is. So at the end of this year, we may be 200, 300,000 good, which in essence
All right.
pays for it.
Well, right,
Yeah.
but, that could be a payment.
Yeah, that's right. It could,
That could be a payment, well, that could be a payment, but is $1,020,000 enough money in that fund, I mean, see, we need to fund that regularly, a certain amount, and that ought to be a budgeted amount, not just, whatever we have at the end of the bills. I mean, seriously, you need to fund that depreciation and then pay it back, and Smith needs to give us an idea of what should be in that fund. I'm a little bit taken back that they don't have an idea. If you've got a $20 million sewage treatment plant, how much money is supposed to have in depreciation?
well, and that's gonna be what, as he told y'all the last time, that's gonna be whatever number you want to be there. There's not, there's
7
not,
million.
there's
I'm
not a
not that
formula.
good.
Yeah,
You know?
well, and
We're not that
Yeah.
good. That's what he's supposed to be good at.
Well,
That's
the
why we
plan,
hire accountants.
the plan would be, as of right now, not in this coming budget year, but next budget year, if we say 7-year depreciation, whatever that amount is, in this case, $315,000, divide that by 7, and that's what we would put in that each
year.
budget. For that, just as if we were paying
About $50,000.
whatever bank is what we would do.
What interest rate we're gonna charge ourselves?
None. Because, the banks are, what was it, 2.5%? So, and we haven't used that money, I don't know, if we've bought anything out of that money like that, have we, over the years? Have we? What we purchased?
You bought
Fire
a
truck.
bucket truck too. Bought a fire truck.
But we didn't use that as depreciation out of reserve fund, we used that as the budget, the bucket truck.
One of them I took the money out of depreciation.
Well, that was probably the fire truck, because that was over a $200,000 purchase, which was how many years ago?
3.
When was the last time you bought a fire truck?
Last year.
3. Now, with all that being said, and I know I'm throwing out numbers at you, the budget we're in today versus the budget that's going to be proposed at the end of this month, you're looking at roughly $148,000 additional expenses. Now, of that additional expenses does not include code enforcement car. It does not include the air packs because those same amounts of numbers were used last year or in this year's budget. On to water and wastewater.
So where's that coming from?
What's that?
Where's that money coming from? We're having an 8%.
Garbage increase.
About an 8% increase.
The $348,000.
Yep.
You got,
Where's it coming
just,
from?
it just out of the revenues that we generate. That's what I'm going back to.
What are we increasing?
Well, you've got an increase in sanitation of $40,000.
40,000. Okay.
There was probably some increases in stuff from the state.
Like how much?
I don't remember the exact numbers.
Yeah, I got it.
I don't know the exact number, but that's just, pardon?
Let's get it balanced. Got $340,000.
But now you're using now $315,000.
Oh, you borrowed that?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So
But
that's where your money's
Yes,
at.
those are capital expenses.
Yeah.
But just the difference in 16 and 17 budget's gonna be an increase of $348,000. $315,000 of that is the capital.
You got more retirement liability too, don't you?
Well, that's part of the, I don't know what that actual number is, but that's part of the 98,000 in the salary increases. And also a part of the 41,000 if we did $500 increase. But those increases, you remember what it went up in retirement?
105%.
0.5%. Wasn't as big this year.
An
versus last
employee
year.
and employer.
And then on the water and wastewater side, water sewer rates, as proposed at our last meeting and passed first reading, based on the rate study, was 11.38%, which estimating $350,000 additional revenue, give or take. And then you have 21 employees that are in that budget. With a salary increase of 3.4%, that would be roughly $29,000 additional dollars than what they're getting this year. If you did $500 across the board, that would be almost $12,500. So you're looking at about $16,000 difference if we went $500 versus the 3.4%. 3.4% is higher just as it was on the general fund side.
Which is the side on the Purdue rate?
Theirs is based on, and we're going to have to sit down and discuss some more, but for this coming year, theirs is based on the old contract agreement, which is $3.78 per thousand.
That's up
from $3.50, so 28 cents more per thousand.
If you did it by OM&R, it was going to be
It was
$4.
almost $4, yeah.
Right, yeah, right.
But it was still done on OM&R. It was done on OM&R. Yeah, it was done. But yeah, they use, 434 million gallons, so take that and multiply that by
25 cents.
28 cents.
Yeah.
That was a good big chunk. Health insurance also on the water and sewer side, an increase per employee $360 annually, which is roughly $7,500 more a year of a cost. But here's the good news. And we like hearing good news. SRF loan, which was paid off back in March, and then we took on another loan soon thereafter for the $500,000 project at the River Bridge, will decrease by $200,000. So we're going to save $200,000 there for this coming year. And then ongoing.
My feeling with that is that, we we use money out of that depreciation fund to fix that sinkhole out there. And that went into operation maintenance repair on, we made up some of that with Purdue. We never put our money back. We kind of made up, well, see, the sinkhole goes into OM&R that year. And that was reflected in their fee for that year.
No. I remember when
Well, maybe we did.
you and I sat down with Smith and the engineer, and Smith said in the audit, all that was taken. The depreciation versus what their fee that they pay are two separate things, and that whatever expenses were that came out of depreciation is not a part of the formula to do their rate. That's not part of OM&R.
Well, how does that money go back in depreciation? So you'll have it the next time you have $1 million sinkhole.
Whatever we budget annually or based on the contract, which that had for the new coming year has not been agreed upon. They're not sure they want to get back into their depreciation account.
Well, regardless,
we're going to budget.
Well, I think
what our portion has been in the past,
which is not much.
Well, it was about 100,000. And theirs was 121,000.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I think we ought to be putting that 200,000 back. I think we ought to stay at the same rate of payment. Build that thing back up. Put that. We didn't spend $1 million. We spent about 836,000.
942,000.
900. Yeah, that's close enough. But we need to do it.
And this is something that we possibly can do.
You in jail, John.
And the question is going to be, remember, we have two water sewer depreciation accounts. One restricted and one unrestricted. Well, the only difference in the two is restricted was anything that Purdue was tied into, is what that money was used for.
I would fund it in an unrestricted, but I would still put it back.
And I think we're going to have to get rid of, if they're not going to cooperate in the depreciation, those two combine. And we just make it an unrestricted depreciation for water and sewer, which at this point in time, combined, we have what in those two?
2.6.
2.8. Which our water and sewer budget, let's just look this year. The year we're in right now. $3.5 million. So, we've got 2/3 in depreciation of what our budget is. And then when you remember during audit, I don't know if you ever hear Smith talk about it, after 90 days or 100 days, you've got X number of dollars, you're covered, and you're in good shape. We always hear that. You're covered for 180 days. But that's just a summary of the budget. What I will do is, as we mentioned, I will go back and compare salaries in the police department and other communities and see what we can do there. And I will email you that information this week if you can get back with me with some kind of comments, because June 30th is our deadline date. That's when we are scheduling, or when I'm asking for us to meet again for the final reading and public hearing, which is a Thursday. We have to give notice 15 days. I think it appears in the paper tomorrow, Lynn. Unless, well, we didn't want to meet on Wednesday, so that's the reason we did it on Thursday. The 15th day would actually be the 29th. We decided we would meet on Wednesday.
Where are we at with the wastewater treatment plant, the oil basin?
We were scheduled, and I don't know if they will, but we're scheduled to be finished at the Orville Basin this month, correct?
Yeah.
Is that going to happen?
They're bringing the catwalk in probably the end of this week.
And I could be mistaken, but when we had the sinkhole, we had this other event, didn't we have 3 phases, Hardy, that we had to once, in the third phase, we just still.
We haven't messed with that yet.
Is that still all right? You know, we in dire need to get something done with that.
Well, it's just out of the traffic, I mean, no traffic on it.
And then, soon thereafter, we started having other issues that, you bring up the Orville Basin, which is almost completed. The project at the lift station at Purdue and Commerce Drive, that's supposed to be completed by the end of this month also.
Yes, sir.
And then the River Bridge, hopefully will be completed our portion by the end of the month. We were delayed about 3 months due to rain.
They told me the pipe broke.
They were boring last week under the river and hit something of what we were putting in, and it tore up their equipment. It didn't really tear, we just couldn't push the pipe no more. We've got about 1,200 feet in, or they got 1,200 feet of the 1,400 feet. So they started today, they hand digging or digging by machinery a trench to bury the other 200 or so feet. They did that today, or started today. You know if they got, how much they got?
I don't know how much they got done with this.
You know when they expect to close the bridge?
We don't have a clue. I've heard different stories on that with the
Probably
bridge.
get it in the school year now.
Yeah, well, at one time they were wanting to do it during the summer, but due to all the rains, the river's been too high for them to have their contractor do anything. And that's what put us behind. Then I heard last week that there's a possibility the bridge may not close. They just may build the existing bridge without closing the old bridge. But I don't know. You would think, yeah.
They gotta go back and forth across it too.
So, I don't know. That's the highway department. That's all I have at this time. I'm sorry it took so long, but I think you need to know this information.
Move on. Citizens report, anything anybody on record to deal with?
Yep. I just want to stand and give praise for something I've been observing for the last few years. Most of you that have been on council and so forth know I've talked about abandoned housing in this community. And I just want to praise the council, city manager, Jack, Benny, Bert, and staff for all the work they've done to correct the situation. There's still some work to be done, but I think the last time I checked, there were like 30-some houses that had been demolished. Now, most of you in this room don't live in areas where you're going to find this type of property, so you may not even have a clue what I'm talking about. But when you talk about bringing in hotels and industry and those kind of stuff, you might have to ride them through some of these areas I'm talking about just to get from point A to point B. So a lot of work has been done by Bert and his crew to get things done. I just ask that everybody remain vigilant and keep a handle on this type of thing so it doesn't get out of hand and we continue to improve the appearance of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. You said 30, Willie?
Well, I said 30 plus. I mean, I had
Is that
checked.
in a year's time or?
No, it's over the course of.
But I'd like to add to Mr. Willie, the demolition, on this ledger here, the $51,000, do we get that money back?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at revenue, we may not get it back in a year's time, but if you look on revenues, I don't know, you're looking at expenses or revenue?
I'm looking at revenue.
Yeah, that's demolition and lot mowing. Janet and I had that conversation today. Lot mowing, we're sure not collecting $50,000. Most of it's demolition. And it may be something that was a year or 2 years old that we finally collected on. But we also, do we not add it to the taxes if they don't pay?
Yes.
So, we get it eventually. From an expense standpoint, what we charge for those houses is whatever the actual cost of the landfill cost is, plus 20 or 25%.
25.
So we may make a little money off of it. But we do charge what the actual landfill cost is.
Anything else out there? You good? Unfinished business, none. New business resolution 316, authorizing the application of state revolving fund authority for the Highway 34 elevated water tank.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
How much is that?
This is for $750,000. This would be, if we got this, our application is there. PER is there from the engineers. It's due, everything else is due by the end of this month. For this $750, this would be, if we get it, it'd be like borrowing $750 plus interest rate. But at one time, they were still talking about interest-free on this money. Looking at possibly $1.5 million project. Hopefully get some other funds where we don't have any out-of-pocket money towards this, which would be great.
What's the first reading?
But it's just, yes, a resolution.
Council member reports. John?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You get a vote there, Lynn? No.
Good? All in favor? Aye. Vote. Anybody vote against? Resolution approved. John?
Todd, I want to tell you thank you to with the park. You know, it's really the corners, the ladies, it really enhanced the park. It looks real good. I don't get to see the ladies, so you know, it does nothing for me. I appreciate what they did. I would like to ask Lynn about the handicap swing again. Are we making it?
Yeah, it's been ordered. In fact, I think I saved it. Bert, you hadn't seen it yet, have you?
No, sir.
I called them on May 31st, because it had been ordered. And they had lost the orders and said it would be shipped in the next 2 weeks. So it's about time for it to come in.
The Seafund Committee, is there any representation for the city on the Seafund?
We don't know.
Nobody? Okay.
I mean, when I say that, the legislative delegation appoints the Seafund Committee. As far as somebody that's living in the city that's on it,
I mean, if I had a road in my district, do I have to go to the committee and ask them to put it on the list to try to get the road paved?
and if you got a road, let me know and I can forward it to the appropriate people.
Chief Rogers, I want
Yes.
to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you've done for the city.
Appreciate it.
That's all I have.
Anything else other than we are in the worst start of the ballparks behind the Armory and City Fields are going to be enhanced. Kevin's done a good job. Oh, Rick. I went out there the other day and hardly recognized it from the winter.
You know, I don't really know how to do this, but you know, we've got the real potential for growth in Dillon. You know, with all that's going to go on 34, I wish, and I don't even know who to ask to help us enhance, to be open and show us how to grow neighborhoods, you know, our community, how we can develop so that we can be ready for the population growth that is potential here. Because I feel like we're getting this industry coming, and I just don't want to miss the opportunity to grow our numbers.
Well, and I'm working on annexation now. We got some on 34. I'm working on I-95 between 34 and 9. I've been working on it about a year and a half, and it just takes so long to get people to agree to it.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm talking about neighborhoods.
Like a developer to get out there that there's a need in Dillon
Some of the
for,
same stuff
like a
we did.
gated development.
Some of the same stuff we did with a hotel or a graduated neighborhood where you might in the front have some, you know.
well, it goes back to there's no properties within the city. Well, that's within the city limits that could be developed. right.
I'm just talking about going with the county and talking with them and let's looking together to see if there's some way we can enhance the number of people that move to our area. I think there's a real opportunity there. I'm not that smart. And and all the development and all the, the resources that we would need. But there's real potential out there. And there's commerce has mentioned to, not me specifically, but there's a potential growth in our county of 30 or 40% in the next 10 years.
Let me chime in on that. The parts of development, you got to have developers to come in. I mean, they got to do
But we got to reach out to them.
That's true. Gordon Rogers called me 7-8 months ago. Scott, I'd like to be a part of the new management at Wyman Gordon. Now, the realtors have stated an interest of hosting the company's executives about potential housing and letting the spouses come to get to know each other with the realtors and their spouses and so forth. And I think that's a start.
It's like townhomes, there's nothing like a single person to move here and get a starter home, right, kind of. I mean, Ronald's got 2 or 3 apartments, and it'd be nice if there was a way we could get it out there to let developers know. Is that, I mean, to know that there's a need there, and then it would be up to them to find the land where they want to, just as how we're doing the hotel.
Well, and another, I don't know any of those people out there. I know a few of them out there that kind of spun off Harbor Freight and went over to Wyman Gordon. There's no mechanism there for us to say, look, my family lives here, my children live here, this is a great place to live. Give us an opportunity to sell it. I don't know. It sounds a little corny and all, but Gordon Rogers sold me on Dillon, and he put together a group of 8 or 10 couples. We came in, and we knew that if we moved here, we would have somebody that we could identify with, that we could call, and I'm not. But what I'm saying is that if we're going to get these people to move to Dillon, they got to find out about Dillon. They can't look on the internet and find anything positive. They can't ride downtown and find anything positive.
Right now, and maybe I'm wrong in what I'm about to say, there's not many houses.
There are more than you think.
Well, there's a ton of houses out there.
I think that's a job, for everybody's job, but the realtor should step up and put a pack up to handle something. If they don't know who they can handle something. I mean, it's their industry.
They need get-togethers, where those families, if they're interested at all in coming, and people seldom.
He expressed an interest. He brought that up to me. I'll get back with you.
And the good thing is on 34 sewers, they are up to the interstate.
Across the interstate.
Well, just, you got the lift station, that's about it. But as far from a residential, anything went out any further, it would be because water's out there, which isn't ours, that's Trico. But I look at, you may not agree with me, but I look at Commerce Drive as a neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's by school, by the wellness center, I mean, that could be.
I can tell you that Ed of Wyman Gordon expressed interest of living out in the countryside. That's what appealed to him. The new manager, I met him at Wicks, likes it out of the city. That's where he bought it. The realtors can really sell their products, because they can sell them. I think they ought to do it. I think they're glad to be glad to do anything other people.
Glenn, Assistant Michelle Bullock, that's the fund. I had mentioned a little short street down there below me. I can't remember the name of it. It's Jerry Court.
Jerry Court. I've given it to them.
On this about 4 years.
I've given it to them, but they're, most of the time, I hate to speak on their behalf, but I was told this one time. If there ain't but one house, they're not going to do it. It's at the bottom of their priority list.
Because I think it was on a petition that's been about 15 years old, and she was on that petition. And then also the lady I called, I think I saw it back in the paper one day, and she said like, oh, if you put it on the list, it's like 20 years on the back burner.
Yeah, I mean, South Fifth Avenue, Councilman Washington's not here, but he'll ask about South Fifth Avenue, and I know that's been there 3-4 years.
And I think his was refurbished, I think. That was just
Maybe.
refurbished, not a road put in. So she said, you know, if I put it on, it's gonna be like, I said, so not in the lady's lifetime, huh?
The bad thing is,
It's gonna be done, but not in your lifetime.
we don't have a say in that. That's their own body.
Right, that's, yeah. And this here, you know, I always come into your office with pictures. And this here, I want to see these pictures. We put a no parking sign there to kind of take care of that spot.
But they still park here, don't they?
I know, they made a road across the sidewalk.
You know what you're talking about? I do.
They just made a road, I think they worked on the parking lot, and they moved it to get the trucks in there, and I think they put the parking stopper back, but I think someone just pushed it back and just made a road across the sidewalk.
Parking?
That's all I have.
You could do like that TV show, Parking Wars, and start giving them tickets.
I make the motion, we adjourn.
Don't forget June 30th.
All right.
Wilson's